It was October 3rd, 1984, when 9-year-old Christine Jessup awakened in her York, Ontario, home for what she thought would be a normal Thursday. She kissed her sleeping parents, ate breakfast, and grabbed her school books for the short walk to nearby Fr. Haythorne Public School. Just before 8 a.m., a neighbor briefly saw her waiting at a bus stop. That was it. Christine would never be seen alive again. Within hours, panic set in. A classmate discovered her unattended lunch bag near her empty seat in class. Teachers called home, but no one answered. The school's principal drove to Christine's house and found it eerily quiet. Furniture and belongings in place. No sign of struggle, no ransom note, no indication of where she'd gone. Just a ghostly quiet. By noon, police had arrived. A search of her neighborhood turned up nothing. No footprints, no witnesses, no vehicle activity of note. The air was heavy with fear. How had a child disappeared so completely from a quiet suburban street? Day 1. The mystery begins. Detectives canvassed the area. Students were interviewed. Teachers were debriefed. Everyone described Christine as polite, bright, friendly, and utterly ordinary. Nothing about her stood out until she vanished. A tip came from a local man who recalled offering her a ride when she missed the bus, but Christine declined and walked away. Another sighting placed her at a bus stop across town, but it was never confirmed. Surveillance was primitive in 1984. No video, no internet, no Amber Alerts. A missing child in Ontario became a crisis unfolding in real time, but with little hope of quick resolution. By evening, York Regional Police had established a perimeter search zone. Dog teams combed the woods behind her home. Helicopters hovered overhead. But the rural terrain worked against them. Deep woods, wetlands, and rural roads with countless driveways made it hard to track any trail. It was as if Christine, paused mid-step, had faded from the world. The discovery. A chilling break 5 weeks later, on November 7th, a hunter came across a small clearing in rural North Gwillimbury Township, about 50 kilometers north of her home. In the midst of fallen leaves and pine needles lay Christine's body. Naked, staged in a spread eagle position, with no clothing and no declaration of identity. It was a scene so disturbing it made national headlines. The coroner determined blunt force trauma to her head as the cause of death. There were no signs of sexual assault. A surprising detail that introduced fresh questions. Why kill a child this way and leave her posed so deliberately? Was it a crime of twisted rage or something stranger? Investigators broadened the search radius. They revisited the original timeline. Was Christine truly missing at 8 a.m., or did she leave later? Could she have been abducted closer to home or further away? The idea that she'd been targeted, stalked, and killed quickly crossed investigators' minds. Profiling the killer. Was it someone she knew? By 1985, the case had developed into a manhunt for a predator who knew when school started and where Christine walked. Her killer wasn't random. He was calculated, patient, and confident enough to commit murder without being seen. Police focused on men living or working near the neighborhood. Over 500 interviews were conducted. Vehicles were logged, examined against witness descriptions, background checked for offenses. A suspect, an adult male, was eventually arrested based on DNA. He matched genetic profiles of the unknown offender through a forensic technique called familial DNA. But in 1994, when the evidence was presented, the suspects had airtight explanations or alibis. Charges were dismissed. The DNA samples from Christine's body had deteriorated too much to conclusively link. Despite intense pressure to solve the case, nothing further stuck. Christine's murder became a crushing cold case, a wound without a name. The breakthrough that wasn't, DNA and reopened investigations. Fast forward to 2019. Decades-old evidence re-examined using advanced DNA technology revealed that the man cleared in 1994 did not match the crime scene DNA. Investigators realized they may have let the real killer walk free. Using trace DNA recovered from Christine's clothing, preserved but previously unusable, they created a new genetic profile. The police then searched national and international databases, including ancestry networks. Finally, in mid-2020, they obtained a candidate, a relative of the suspect. While anonymity remained, detectives believe they have identified the killer. The suspect, now deceased, reportedly died in 2011. No charges can be laid, but for the first time, Christine's family may have a name. Haunting questions, lingering doubts. Even if the genetic trail leads to a name, there are still so many unanswered questions. Why was Christine posed so deliberately, with her limbs spread wide and her body unclothed? What motivated the killer? A psychologist suggests it could have been a brief, opportunistic abduction, and the killer stripped her of clothing as a way to avoid identification or to humiliate the victim post-mortem. Was there more than one offender? No eyewitnesses or material evidence suggest accomplices, but orchestration of that crime over a sub-zero Ontario night suggests at least some planning. Why wasn't more physical evidence collected in 1984? DNA was cutting edge back then. Now it's the key to unlocking the case. But so much was lost. Crime scene photographs, degradation of biological matter, unclear chain of custody. The legacy, Christine's family, and a community transformed. The Jessup family, particularly her sister Carolyn, has dedicated her life to keeping Christine's memory alive. She has spoken publicly, attended conferences, even pushed for legislative changes in missing persons protocols across Canada. Christine's case led to changes in how police handle missing children, from improving coordination between jurisdictions to preserving evidence for future testing. But there remains bitterness, frustration, and grief, especially when the suspect cannot be prosecuted. His alleged identity lacks closure. No trial, no verdict, just a name in a file. Christine's story lives on in memorials and a scholarship in her name, an effort to ensure she's more than a cold case. Why this case still terrifies? This case isn't just about a child gone missing. It's about how quickly innocence can be erased. It shows. A crime can happen in daylight, within public view, and remain unsolved. A killer can walk free for decades thanks to outdated technology, procedural errors, and forensic limitations. Justice delayed doesn't always mean justice served. A family's memory, and community's memory, can become a weapon for change, even when the perpetrator remains unnamed. What you can take away. As of today, the murder is unresolved. The suspect is dead. But Christine's case still matters. It holds lessons in how vulnerable children can be in seemingly safe environments, how forensic science can evolve, and why cold cases deserve renewed attention. Why supporting families of missing children is vital, even when the case stalls. Why anonymity and privacy concerns should not obstruct justice in violent crimes. Where things stand today. Police confirmed a suspect name in late 2020, but he is deceased. Full closure requires more than a name. It requires understanding motive, opportunity, and justice for Christine. Families, paramedics, and community groups still honor Christine every year on the anniversary of her presumed killing, November 7th. The York Regional Police Cold Case Unit remains open and encourages tips, even partial, seemingly insignificant ones.